as we begin. Every time I interact with people, I hear very interesting and intriguing stories that are very exciting. And for me, I always grappled with the thought that these are such great stories that go untold. And sometimes it's people either working very hard on areas that some people might not even see it as a struggle for them, but for those people it's a big deal. And I thought these stories need to be told. And I also strongly believe that if you have something in your heart, it's good to roll it out. And roll it out, for me, what I've learned with the number of things that I've done and I've been able to successfully do is that you may wait for the best moment or when you have the biggest opportunity or the guys, having a TV station to host your show. You just work with what you have because the idea is not necessarily the tool that you want to use, but what you want to pass forward. And that is how we started Breaking Barriers. So we are on 4th episode. So I want to take this opportunity to introduce our special guest. Special because it's the first time he's on Breaking Barriers, but I know he's a familiar face to us. Kamaa, Peter KAMAU. Just in case you may be confused, he's 43 years old. He's an electrical engineer with a specialty in solar system. Guys sometimes think we run for that's what we do for a living. So he's an electrical engineer, specialty solar system, power protection, power backup systems, and I know anyone around here who has those kinds of needs can always reach out to him, not only for training programs but for additional things that can add as much value as he adds to running. The reason why we picked him up in Breaking Barriers because there are many people who are doing big things and we just sample and see who is because he's coming in a big way to change the landscape of running in a certain way. He came in, he runs, he boxes, he's doing cycling. I believe soon we may see him in triathlons maybe. Something unique about him is he's a vegan. He's also a father of kids. That may not be too unique, but it's important to point out. But a vegan, and he'll tell us, I always get confused, vegan, vegetarian. I mean, one time when I understand it, tomorrow I forget and I mix them up. So he's going to tell us more about that. So Kamaa, karibu sana, and thank you for honoring this invite. Maybe you can say a hello officially to the team.
Thanks, Captain. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me in your channel.
Okay, karibu sana.
Thank you.
So Kamaa, karibu sana, and we are also honored to have you and honored to have the crowd as well. So Kamaa, you have had many achievements. So I really don't know which end to start. But anyway, maybe I'll give you this opportunity to say, what do you feel is your greatest achievement from your end? Because all of us may have many views about your achievements. So maybe you can tell us what's your greatest achievement.
I think for me, the most memorable achievement is maintaining a happy and a healthy family. That's has also been an achievement on my side, and also being able to balance career, family, and training. I think that's also second achievement that I think I've achieved in my life. The third achievement I can say is when I did 100 kilometers running. For kids who don't know me, when I did the charity run, that to me was one among the greatest achievements in my life.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes, and I those are actually major achievements. I know there's one more that is very key to you. It may have skipped your mind, but I believe it's a great one, coaching. But I know because maybe we'll cover it, it will come out in a big way. I remember the 100 kilometers, us running, supporting you running on that bypass. It was actually amazing. That was the run for Faraja, cancer support. So that was epic, and I always feel that we can do a lot for ourselves, but it's very key and very fulfilling, very blessing when you actually, that sweat counts for something more than the finish line, the extra medal, on the glory that we get when we cross the finish line. So well done, Kamaa. That was awesome. I know many of us have not 100, myself included, but that's a great achievement. Well done. So we've seen you in many aspects doing great things. And of course, the question that beg to ask is what drives you? What keeps you going? 200 kilometers a week, running two times, 7 days a week, etc. What keeps you going?
I think what keeps me going is when I lead a team which is successful in running. For instance, in aspect of running, when my team usually succeed or we get good result from the team, I feel that is that's what drives me every day to wake up and do much better running, other than the way I was yesterday. For the team, usually for the team that I usually work with, usually that's for me that's a success, and it drives me to wake up early in the morning to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's a special thing, because then it's not just about you, but also about others. So because it is possible for us to just feel satisfied when we at a personal level achieve. But again, and allow me to mention that for me also success means that I'm succeeding with those around me, not just myself, you know, not an area, a space, and like you say, where you are the only one shining and everyone else sort of looks up to you. When you shine together, that for me, I think that is a very unique point of, consideration for achievement. So, you know, that's quite inspiring. Now, we knew you as a boxer. In fact, I remember us jogging around when you just joined running and some years back, and we were doing jogging that route we do towards Fort Kenya, and you'd explain to me, I'd ask you questions, how come we don't win in boxing? And you tell me, you know, we don't take the best boxers because of the way things are in Kenya, etc. So maybe you can just tell us how you started boxing, because I'm sure everyone who meets you always hopes that they never end up on the other end of your punch.
Okay, I started boxing because I felt like a nobody. When you are young, you feel you are not. You want to be identified by a certain group, that a certain crop of group. I didn't have that passion of boxing, but when I started mingling with the boxers in the village, at the time I started feeling like, kumbe can be a boxer. That's all it started. We didn't have an official start there.
Yes.
Yeah. Without any goal, I just wanted maybe, for instance, I was going to box so that I can be able to bully others. Yeah. I didn't go to, that's what the main meaning for boxing. But I did.
Beaten by another guy and you say, "Sitaki kupigwa tena hata mimi nitapigana."
No. It's in the society. The way those guys usually, when you're maybe you're in a certain crop of people, so that if you in the village, so that guys can call you a boxer. So that's what motivated me to join boxing, so that even other guys can call me a boxer. So that's why I started. Then I started boxing. I went to boxing.
Okay, all right, well done. And then fast forward from your boxing, but rewinding it to running. I remember seeing you. I think the first time I saw you was a run in near Galleria. So tell us how then you got interest into running.
Okay, it sounds funny how it started, because we used to box at Parklands. Those are some few years ago. That was 2018. So one day, our trainer didn't come when we were supposed to go for boxing. A friend of mine called Ridwan Hussein. I hope you guys know Ridu.
I hope he's on.
When our coach did not come, when our coach did not come that day, Ridwan told me that if I can escort him for a run, because he was preparing for New York Marathon. Yeah. So we went out. I did a 10 kilometer. Then after a few days, then we started going out with him just to escort him. And from that point, I think the other is history, because I started now training with him, just going out, running. That was in 2018.
Yes.
After his New York marathon, he told me if, for instance, I can continue training so that I can be able to do another, I can be able to do a marathon. That's the time I started training with the way he was training for New York, following the same routine of training.
Yeah.
Monday, speed work. Tuesday, easy run. Then Wednesday, fat leg. Thursday, easy. Friday, rest day. Then on Saturday, long run. Then I went to Kili. Kili was my debut marathon. Kili, things did not go well, as I think usually most of the runners, the first marathon is not that easy. I ran walk at I think kilometer 30, but I managed to finish at 3 hours 38 minutes.
Yeah.
From then I've done like 5 marathons.
Yeah.
After Kili, when things did not go well, we started preparing the same. We call it's like a traditional way of training. Speed work on Mondays, easy run on Tuesdays, then on Wednesday, fat leg or intervals, then on Thursday, easy run. Fridays, we used to do just easy run, then on Saturday, a long run. That was the preparation for Berlin. For Berlin, things did not work well after the injury. I got injury at 27. Then from there, after Berlin is when now I started having interest with marathons, and I started reading books and also doing a lot of research on how to improve on marathons.
Yeah.
Yes. Then from Berlin, I managed to finish 3 hours, 20 minutes. Then from Berlin, we started also preparing for a third marathon, which we did in Kahara, Ngong, when we were trying to break sub 3 barrier.
Yes.
In Kahara, I managed to do 3 hours 3 minutes, but after
that's the one for adopt a family.
Yes, adopt family. Yeah, during COVID. Yes, I think it was during COVID. Yes, COVID, yeah. That's the time after the race, because I was hoping to break the sub 3 barrier.
Yeah.
From that point, because I missed with 3 minutes, it was frustrating. I was frustrated, and I also wanted to give up on running because the efforts that I had put so that I can be able to manage a sub 3, waking up that early. But at the end of the day, I didn't get what I wanted.
Yeah.
So from after sub 3, I started training for 100 kilometers. Yeah. That's for the kids with cancer.
Yes.
So when I started training for Faraja, that's the time I started doing research on, because I tried to ask guys how I can do 100 kilometers endurance run without maybe having pain or suffering, because marathons are hard. It's at that point I came across some research done by some of the scientists on how you can do those long runs or also marathons. How you can do marathons without that putting a lot of efforts like the traditional running, and that's how heart rate training came into place.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Then from there,
yes, and I think we specifically eventually come into heart rate training. For the guys joining now, karibuni sana, and if you have any questions or comments, kindly post them on the group on the comment section at the bottom, and we shall be answering and following up on those mostly at the end of it. But if I see something pressing, I will ask. Yes. So back to you, Kamaa. It's interesting, and this is what I guess when we talk about what people have to go through to get to where they are. You know, when someone looks at your achievements, your current achievements, or anyone's achievements, and like Bolt says, I spend so much time behind the scenes to just run 9 seconds, but people just see the 9 seconds. People may not know, you know, you had some failure in Berlin, some failure in the sub 3 and in Kahara. And many of us have gone through. In fact, I think if there are any people who've been frustrated with the sub 3, there's some characters in the former years who, I mean, we really struggled to get under 3 hours. Nowadays, I guess we get 3 hours from people in different quotas, different areas, different training regimes. So I guess it's a bit different. So now, let me go to coaching first, and then we'll gravitate back to some of those issues you have raised. At what point did it occur to you that you can train people? Because it's one thing to train yourself, it's another thing to train others.
Oh, that came when I was training for 100 kilometers.
Yes.
After doing that research on how, and also I observed most of my friends, the guys we used to train with, wanted to do a sub 3, but they didn't have that knowledge or something that they can make that can make them do the sub 3 easily.
Yeah.
And that moment is when we started, like, it's like a try and error method. We started with one, Nicholas Muteti, which failed. I think I'll explain later how it failed. Then when I was training for 100 kilometers, Brian joined. But Brian training became a success. He was the second student, but he managed to do a sub 3 after that training. So I got that motivation because before my students, maybe before those guys, before I instilled something on them, usually I'll have done it before telling them to do it. So with that, I was, because once I do the training, I get the results. That's the only time that I introduce that kind of training to them.
Yes.
Yes, and
so
that's
when you're guinea pig.
Yeah, it's like I am. It's because I can't give them something which I don't know it will work. Before we made that mistake, when Nick was trying to do a sub 3, but we changed our approach to training.
Yeah, so I guess like every other process, there is a lot of learning on the way, tweaking here. I think every time you fail, I think the disaster is not in failing, but the disaster is in not taking the lessons. Yes. Now, in this your journey, because now we see where you are and you've had a number of things. So what we actually see, like I say, is the iceberg. You know, the iceberg is just a small piece of ice up here, but down there, that is where the Madum Manenos are. Eh? And I think you have mentioned a few of the issues that are under that iceberg. So just tell us about, you have mentioned about some failures. Maybe are there any others that you have gone through? And like I say, you have mentioned some, you have mentioned, not meeting sub 3. Any others that, just for people to realize that before you get success, it just doesn't come overnight. There's a number of failures and a number of struggles, failures, struggles, and distresses. Yeah.
I think for us runners, the big mistake that we usually make is going to the internet, downloading programs for different guys, and trying to do those programs. Yeah. Usually that's a big mistake that we recreational runners usually do. And I think that was one of the failures that we encountered before we came up with the right and also the solution to running easily.
Yes. Okay. All right. Good. So tell us about your routine, morning to morning. How is your day like averagely? How many days do you train? How many kilometers? Do you have a rough idea how many kilometers? When do you wake up? Because we are recreational runners, we don't have the luxury of starting to run up to 10 and then sleeping and waking up and running again.
Okay. Most of the days I usually wake up at 4. When I wake up at 4, usually sometimes I read or I work maybe for 1.5 hours or 2 hours, depending with the workload. Yeah. If I don't have workload, because it's a routine waking up at 4, I usually do exercises in the house. Yeah. I may do gym work or do boxing. That's for 1 hour. That's Monday to Friday. Then from from 6 to 7:30, I do my morning run. That's 1 hour 30 minutes. Then most of the time, because sometimes I work from home, and sometimes in the office, and sometimes in the field, I usually sacrifice my lunch for 35 or 40 minutes run.
Yes.
Then in the evening, I usually create time. 1 hour. 1 hour. So most of the times, Monday to Wednesday, I usually train 4 times.
Yes.
And then Thursday and Friday 3 times.
Yes.
Then on Saturdays, I usually do long runs.
Yes.
Sometimes I may do doubles, depending with the weekly mileage that I have targeted.
Yes.
Then on Sunday, I do a back-to-back long run. That's my weekly schedule. Then most probably in the evening on Sundays from 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I usually do at 2 o'clock. I usually go to the gym to box.
Yeah.
If not boxing, I go for sparring. If I'm not sparring, I may do bike, stationary bike, stationary bikes, or a turbo trainer. I might use a turbo trainer to add on my mileage. That's around per week. I usually target 200 kilometers on a bike.
Yeah.
Yes, that's just roughly for training.
So 200 kilometers on the bike, or combined running and biking?
No. Mostly a bike.
Yes.
200 kilometers on turbo trainer. Then 200 kilometers outside. That's
outside. Yeah. So
yes, but currently. Currently I'm doing 180 because I'm in build-up stage.
Yes.
Yeah. Then from next month I will come to 200 kilometers per week.
Yes. Okay. In fact, I think someone had asked per week, and David is asking
minimum average. Like for instance, last training, the minimum was 180 kilometers for 6 weeks. That's what the minimum mileage, but most of the time I used to average between 200 and 210 kilometers per week.
Good. So now, in coaching again, we assume that you coach yourself. Is that the case? And if so, how is it being your own coach?
It's a challenge coaching myself because, for instance, most of my guys expect me to be at 100% perfect on form or on form before going for a run. Because most of the time, if one of my guys is maybe having a race, I usually prefer going with them when they are doing marathon pace runs. So most of the time I'm usually on the road. So January to January, I may say I'm at peak, not at 100% peak, but I'm in good shape because I usually run with them. I don't have those breaks for runnings.
Okay, good. So, so there's a question here from Martin. He says, "Wait, Kamaa, when do you rest?"
I rest when I sleep. Because usually, and most of my runs are easy runs. So, because when guys ask me, Kamaa, when do you rest? I think there's some injury risk, you don't rest. But there are those factors that I usually check. One, I run very slow. Because I haven't heard anyone complaining of walking and he got injured because of walking too much. Because usually if you check my logs and also my running statistics, usually I run between 550 to 650 or even 7. So majority of my runs are easy runs. So I don't have that risk of injury. And I run every day to avoid that risk of getting injured.
Okay, yeah, because the question is how do you manage injuries, and as a result, the result of that high mileage, I think you've answered that, and you can revisit the questions again. So now, Kamaa, tell us about heart rate training. I think that is your buzzword.
Okay, heart rate training is a broad topic. but I'll just divide it into maybe a few sections. If, for instance, heart rate training is not us who started that about heart rate training. It was started a long time ago, I think in 1970s. But guys did not follow that concept, because I think the metric that guys used to use was just going out, running, no pain, no gain kind of training. On our side, that's maybe just a little history of how it started. It was started by a guy called Dr. Mafton. He has written so many books regarding that heart rate training. Before Mafton came, they used to use 220 beats per minute for all runners, so that they can be able to ascertain at what heart rate you're supposed to be running. Then after scientists, I don't know if they are scientists or I can call them, after doing research, they realized that 220 is too high. And most of the guys who used to run, the maximum they could hit, even if it's like 100 meters or 200 meters, was 200 beats per minute. Then they came up with that meaning of averaging, I think 200 runners, and the average came to 180. So that's the metric that I usually use when training, 180 minus my age. That's the simplest way to be able to gauge at what level you're supposed to be running. Because we usually use different, because the watches that we usually have usually measure the heart rate, the heart rate, but it's not that accurate. So most of the time nowadays we are using the chest strap. Chest strap is more accurate with 30 to 40 beats per minute difference. So you are able to know how you are able to set your target and also your training zone from using that heart rate training.
Yes. So now, but that's for the aerobic training. Of course, there is a time that you have to do the faster ones. So yes. How do you divide like the training sessions to be able to cater now for the, I guess, the build up, the aerobic, just like the conventional system, there must be a way that then you transition and add in a bit of anaerobic and speed work. How do you gravitate around that?
Okay, for us, usually we concentrate on three things in training. The first one, because in a marathon, there are three outcomes which can come up while doing a marathon. First, you may have leg pain. Second, lactic may develop in your legs. And the third one, leg pain, lactic, or you may hit the wall. Those are the three most of the outcomes that can come in a marathon. Or maybe, like the way you're asking, the anaerobic side of our running.
Yes.
I usually recommend most of our runs to be at aerobic. If, for instance, I want to do speed, for instance, I want to increase my speed, I've been doing maybe at a pace of 6 most of my runs.
Yeah.
And I want to do my marathon at 340 or 345 or 335. How do I gain that speed? I think that's the question that you're asking.
Yes.
Yes, for us, you see,
How
what we do is
train for that,
yes, we usually train 2 days, maybe 2 days in a week.
Yeah.
Usually specific marathon pace. We don't go beyond our marathon pace so that we can increase our threshold. Yes. For instance, if I want to train I want to do my marathon at 345 or 340.
Yeah.
I'll go to the field because I want to increase my speed. I'll do 340s, maybe for 3 kilometers. Then I walk 3 kilometers. So my threshold will still be at 340. So when I go to a race, the only thing that I know that will limit me when I go to the race is not now the lactic, because I'm used to running at that pace every week. Maybe after every week I'm used to running at that pace. So my results will not be my marathon pace will not be deteriorated by the threshold. The second one that we usually avoid, for instance, the hitting the wall. That one, because we usually do back-to-back long runs. That one we are able now to, So for that, we are able to reduce that act of hitting the wall. Most of our runners will not hit the wall at 35 or 38 after doing those back-to-back long runs. Then the third one is the leg pains. Leg pain we reduce by going to the gym. So if going to the gym, we usually don't go to lift heavy weights. Usually, I usually tell my guys to do body weights, because the only thing that we require is strength, not the muscles. Because for instance, you increase muscles, it will be detrimental to your results while doing the race. The third one is to increase speed so that my legs can be able to continue running at that pace. We usually get the easiest way. Get a downhill. Do your 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers. So your legs are able to do at that pace. So during race, you will not suffer from, because I usually see guys doing heel work, heels, and in a marathon, maybe that's just a way of adding load to your marathon, but it doesn't have that major effect on your results. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I guess that is what one would want to digest that. Of course, it would require a specialized focus on the discussions, which people can pick up. Whoever would want to do that can pick up. What is your comment about, for example, and we don't necessarily want to talk about sub-3, but the great improvement in running, but if I may borrow from sub-3, we have got, when myself and others, Davies and, they were trying to get to sub-3, it took us a long time, but after some time, of course, we are 20, I'm 22, other people are more than that. We have seen people now heading to I think we'll soon break at 2:30. And I guess, what would you say, because they're not all training under the same regime, it's not necessarily what you'd call heart rate or how I train or how someone, there's just, over time, there's been just so much improvement in people's running performances. What would you attribute it to, especially when we think about, even when you think about how much you struggle to get to sub-3 and where you are at, and people who are not necessarily training with heart rate are in sub-3s and even way faster, probably, others around us heading to 220s. What would you attribute that to generally? Because I guess you may not necessarily say it's one training program. Sure. What would you attribute it to?
I think consistency and teamwork. Yeah. I think that has also been a good inspiration to many of the athletes, because if you see the guys at sub 240s, most of them, if you check, they usually train as a group, and also the consistency is there. I think consistency is the key for any runner to improve and also to do a good marathon race.
Yes. And I think also the fact that information, I guess by the time we were trying, we were limited in information. I think by the time, people have come in, there is a lot of information. Of course, a lot of information can also be detrimental, but if you pick the right things, I think that is why probably a wide variety of people are able to borrow from the good, you come in and find people are already doing well, and you pick up from them. So you're not necessarily struggling at a basic, you struggle at a different level. So and like you say, consistency, etc., training together. So that's good. Now, training is more than physical workout. The mental bit is key, especially for challenging ourselves. How do you go about it? Because I think many people can put in a lot of work, but the mental bit lets them down.
Usually, I think I surround myself with good people, and also breaking up of monotony of doing the same thing. Usually that helped me to, and also valuing myself, treating myself with kindness and respect. That usually has also improved on my mental challenges.
Okay. Now the key one: vegan, vegetarian, etc. What does your diet? And to add on to that, the training that you have to put in and the considerations you have to make for diet. What does your diet and nutrition plan look like? Generally, and then when getting into shape for a race.
Generally, I usually take available plants. I don't do any animal product. The only product that I usually do for animal is honey.
Yes.
Other
bees
things
are
only bees. Yeah. So other things that I usually do is plant-based.
Yes.
During the day, I usually take, after morning run, I take breakfast, usually food. At 10 o'clock, I usually maybe have some fruits. Then lunch hour, I have to eat. Then at 2 o'clock, before my evening run, I usually have to take something. Then in the evening, after my run, I usually take supper. That's it. That's my normal diet. But when I want to be in shape, there's some things that I usually don't do. I don't do sugar, and also I don't do wheat. So with that, I'm able to lose maybe a few kgs, and also to reduce inflammation in my body. So with that one, that's one. Then before the race, the week to race, we usually do what we call carb depletion. That's when tapering. Carb depletion means if, for instance, I have a race on a Sunday. Today, let's say, for instance, today is on a Sunday, and my race is next Sunday. 3 days to train without carbs. We usually do with proteins and vitamins. So if you deplete that carbohydrates in your body by Wednesday, because it's 3 days, that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. By Wednesday lunch hour, you become very weak because you don't have any glycogen or glucose in your body. Then from that day, because we start carbon loading from Wednesday in the evening up to now, up to Saturday, because the race is on Sunday. So when you're going to the race, you feel that you have that energy, and all your stores are fully into capacity. So that's how we deplete, and with that, we don't add weight when you're doing that. When you are doing tapering, because before we used to think tapering is you stop to run, do carbon loading. So when you're going to the race, you feel it's like you have added some kamuzigo in your body. So that's how we usually do it as a group.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess again for all guys listening, you have to also figure out what may work for, because conventionally you would we say we carbo load, but over time, like for myself, what I've realized is when you drop the mileage, you don't need to really carbo load, because if you eat the same amount of food, you would get the energy that you require without necessarily adding more. So I never have to really add like extra ugali, because already you have reduced your volume of training. So I guess for anyone who would want to, they would have to consult you to figure out how to do that, especially if they feel that it will be something that they really need to understand well and do it correctly. So how do you manage to blend in training and work?
By waking up early and also having a daily target on my work and also in my training. So I'm able to schedule my work and also my training.
Yes.
And also maybe not going extra late at night, because I usually sleep very early, and I wake up very early.
Okay, so what's your sleeping time?
Usually, at 9, I usually am asleep. Most of the days at 9, I'm asleep. Yes, okay. So that I can wake up very early.
Because we know the biggest dawa is sleep, eh?
Yeah.
And that's probably where we struggle with. Okay, good. So when the going gets tough, are there things, we talk about mantras in races, etc. Because at one time, there's never any one of us who doesn't go through a race and find it getting tough. What goes through your mind? How do you keep going when those tough times strike?
For instance, let's say for instance in a race, sometimes it becomes tough. I remember a guy called David Goggins. I hope most of the guys have maybe seen he has written books and also in the YouTube. He usually says that when you feel that pain, your body is at 40%. So you still have 60% to go. So with that one, it keeps me going. So because even if I feel which pain, I know I still have 60% to go. It keeps me on that motivation. It gives motivation.
Yes. Nice one.
Yes.
So the good drawing from David Goggins. Yes.
Yeah.
And those who may not have heard about him, is a big name. What's your support system like?
Usually family.
Yeah.
My wife usually is a good support for my runs. And also the friends that I usually run with as a group. We are like 10 guys.
Yeah.
We support each
Yeah.
other very, very well. So I think that's one of my support team. And thanks to them for the support that usually give. Yeah.
Great. That's the camaraderie, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Do you look up to anyone, a coach, a role model, kind of thing? You know, something probably you would, other than the circles around you, something you would consider to draw some more strength from, include, of course, you mentioned the Goggins. Any others?
Yes, there's a guy called Josh Sambrock. He's a young coach, a running coach. Guys, maybe they can check on his website. He has done a lot on running circles.
Yes.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that every day, like after every 2 days, have to check on his website to check if there's something new in running circles. Yeah.
Okay, great. So what's your next challenge?
I was hoping to do Boston.
Yeah. But
due to visa interviews taking too long, so I might do Berlin. Yeah. Berlin in September. Then from Berlin, next year planning to convert from marathon to triathlon. Okay. Because I've been motivated by one of my friends. Yeah. So I'll be doing runs and also biking and also swimming. Okay. I want to convert. Good luck to you on that. Yeah. Yeah. Good luck you on that, and any other and the races coming in the year. Sure, thank you. Yes, breaking barriers is a story of challenging norms. In every experience, it's important to take stock and take lessons to encourage and inspire others. That is what breaking barriers is about. Possibilities, the journey. One person inspires another and creating a cycle of inspiration. So, Kamaa, what are your 3 key lessons that we can tap into for inspiration and encouragement? Just in a nutshell, sort of wrapping up before we go to the Q&As. Sorry, come again. Yes. What are the 3 key lessons we can tap into for inspiration and encouragement? Just as we wrap up, just in summary. Be consistent with your training. Trust the process, and you'll get results. Yes. Oh, good stuff. And then any comments about, injuries, when we push thresholds, even with the best of athletes, whether in football, we see the Messis, the Ronaldos, we see the runners getting injured. And I think it's a very trying time for us runners. Any comments about how to navigate that, should that happen? Usually what I can maybe recommend, let's have this notion: we are not elites. Let's say, for instance, us recreational runners. Yes. We are not elites, and we want to do these runs until our last day in this world. Yes. And the best way to do it is just to run slow. Yeah. So that you can be able. Running slow doesn't mean that you'll not have that speed that you want. Just that running slow, and at the end of the day you'll get results. At your 50, because my target is at 70s, I'm supposed to be able to do a sub 3. That's my that's what I can all say. Yeah. Correct. And I think to add on to that, like you say, we are not elites, and I know because we hold on running very dearly. When you get distracted from running, injured, you sort of lose an identity, you lose your goals, you feel like you are no longer there, your routine is around running, you get confused. So I think we just must find things that should that happen, because there's a thin line, especially when we are pushing, and this happens. I think all of us at one point have had either an ego or an injury, to just be able to manage it. And I think one of the greatest things when we have an injury is actually the acceptance, because I think we spend so much time accepting
And in the meantime, we are running and aggravating something that would be 1 week, becomes 2 weeks, becomes 6 months. And we have seen people get off running basically because they did not accept. So that period between, going through grief, annoyance, feeling whatever we feel, and acceptance must be shortened as much as possible so that we may move on. And I guess when any comment about when something you'd want to say to the people listening about when you don't achieve your goals, because we have seen you come from failing a number of times, achieving, and tomorrow we don't know. I mean, I look at it this way. I could go into a race in the best of shape and not perform well or have an issue. How do I manage to keep running? Because had we given up at some point, had you given up, you would never have had the achievements you have. But because of picking up yourself, you've been able to go on. So any comments on that, just to encourage people who probably may be struggling and wondering, kwani mimi siwezi fanya PB?
Yes, I think the lesson that I learned in Berlin, after my Berlin failure, the injury at 27 kilometers, is that we need to accept the results. Even if you get, for instance, your target was sub 3, you get 5 hours, accept it and move on. Like the way David usually say that the results of 24 hours is try to consume what you got, you cry, then the other day you move on. So I think the best advice that I can give is for guys to accept the results and be consistent in your training. Consistent in your training, and also check your diet. Do a lot of fats. It will help you in recovery.
Correct. Yes. So basically, accept, find out where the mistakes were, correct them, and then try again. Good.
Sure.
So, any mantras you live by that keep you going?
Respect mankind.
Yes. Yeah.
That's something that I usually, you just respect mankind. Other things will fall.
Okay. And any values that you hold close to you? You are a very patient
I'm humble
guy.
and kindness. I'm also patient, kindness, and also I'm a humble guy. And also a shy guy.
Good stuff. And I know you're doing so well on the shy bit. I think you've come up quite. It's a lot better. But yeah, I agree. But kind, patient, good stuff. So Kamaa will move to questions and answers and comments. So I'll try and get them from the top ones. Let me see any comments from the top. So karibuni, those who have joined us a bit late. I see one here. What's your advice for female runners? I don't know if they're looking for specific advice. That's from Fashion JJ. Any comments there?
What I can tell them is, if you have time, not everyone has time. You just create time for your runs. Just go out, do your run, do easy runs. Maybe get a gadget like a heart rate monitor. Go do your runs, enjoy your runs. That's the only advice that I can give to those female runners. Let's enjoy, be consistent, and other things will come. The PBs will come.
Yes. Okay. And Rene is asking, what is the terminology for reducing Kamzigo days before Kamzigo? You know what that means? Days before the race. What's that terminology?
It's a carbs.
I think it's a depletion.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you deplete that.
Depletion.
Depletion. Yeah.
So, Rene, your troubles have been answered. Now you can deplete, then reduce Kamzigo. Then there's T-Kiss here says, interesting to learn diet is that key. You mentioned weight. Do you have an ideal way to attain a target of 3.5 minutes per kilometer?
Weight is relative. I think it's relative because I have guys who are over 70 kgs and they're doing 350 per kilometers. We have guys at 55 kgs doing the same pace. So I think it's only how you can manage your weight.
Yes.
It will be able to do.
Are you Kamaa?
Wait,
How heavy are you? Yes.
when we were going to when we were going to Dubai, I was at 58 kg. Yeah, I was at 58 kgs. 58, yeah. Currently, I'm at 62. I've added a lot of weight.
Yeah. That's a lot, man, but you're still small. Someone is asking, how can you say 62 is a lot? Anyway, on the right note. Dr. Chiang Kai-shek, what's your breakfast like? I think he just wants to hear just something about your breakfast.
My breakfast, I usually eat food. Like, for instance, if tonight, if I take ugali and some greens, I'll take it in the morning. That's what I usually do. I don't have a special diet. That's the thing that I usually do. But it's a plant-based. And also, I do a lot of fat. Maybe fats. Those are peanuts and avocados, so that they can reduce inflammation, according to the readings that have. And it's proven. It works.
So you say they reduce inflammation?
Yeah. So most of the time, usually guys ask me, Kamaa, why don't you go for physio? Those are the questions that I usually get from most of the guys. But I think it's because of checking my diet, doing a lot of fat. So after I run, maybe I have some sore on my legs. But after a few minutes, it's good. I think food is the key. Yeah, food is the key to sleep and also to
The other day I was in a session and one doctor told us, he's a doctor, a medical doctor, but he says, science tells you the vibe is take medicine, but he says that if he was to look at medicine and the brain and your mental and the medicine, he says he took some number of plates and he says this plate would be food. That is your best medicine. Then your thinking would be this, and medicine should be a small portion. But medicine has been made to be like you must take medicine all the time. Yes, because it's diet that contributes. So that's I think in support of that. You're vegan by choice, yeah?
Yes, by choice.
So see Muhenge says, why does my heart rate refuse to cooperate after a break? I think she has tried to talk to it, is not responding. Maybe she may need to consult further. Yeah, so she asked, why does my heart rate not behave after a rest? So I think maybe you may need to understand. What's your comment? Rate refuse to cooperate after a break.
I think what she does, she's running higher than what she's capable of. Because if, for instance, you start slow, you start the build-up, your heart rate is supposed to behave. Or maybe if he's using the wristwatch, it will mislead her. It will mislead her. It's better to get a chest strap. Usually you get, the derivation will be very little and minimal, and she'll be able to get accurate result from heart rate.
Yes. Okay.
And also, there are those factors which usually affect heart rate. Usually, if she's sick, medicine, if you're taking medication, your heart rate will go up. If you have stress, it will still go up. If you have not hydrated well, it will go up. And if you have not rested well, your heart rate will most definitely shoot up.
Yes. Okay. Let me scroll. Okay, we answered about whether how do you manage injuries. I think you said by moving slow. How do you stay motivated? Wanjiko had asked.
My motivation, I mentioned Josh Samrock. On his website, he has a donut shape where you can input your runs. For instance, usually when you put maybe today's on a Tuesday, and usually the cycle usually starts on a Sunday. When you input your mileage on that donut shape, because you can download it on your desktop or laptop, it starts changing color. If, for instance, you haven't reached the target of your mileage for the week, it will still remain red. So what motivates me, I usually have to go out up to at the end of the week so that the whole donut can be green. That usually keeps me motivated. Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. 1 second. I see whether there's any new questions. What is your preferred shoe brand for training and going for a race?
Currently, before I used to use Nike, have used Nike and Adidas.
Yes.
But currently I'm using Kipran. Kipran is it's a UK brand, a very nice shoe, and also the cost wise, economically it's more economical than Nike and Adidas.
Yes.
So Kipran, I'm using Kipran. Yeah.
Maybe you can type there so that if they want to see how to spell that.
Yeah. Let me just Kipran.
There's a comment section. I guess it's the same for you and me, I believe. Yeah. Can you see it at the bottom?
Yeah.
The bottom,
Yes, I've done it.
Kipran. Kipran. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, Kamaa, anyone wanting to sort of see you, get guidance from you, coaching, how do they reach you?
I think most of the guys have my number, and they can contact me. I'm available. We don't charge anything because we are like a family. No need to charge anyone. So we usually work as a family. We don't. Guys usually tell me to charge, but I have other guys who usually advise me because we are a family. No need to charge. You can just contact me anywhere, and we'll be able to sit down, come up with the running plan, and also the diet. It will help you. Yes.
Do you want to post your number there, or can they just find a way to get it?
I can post it.
Yeah, or maybe you can post it just because there may be guys there without it, and
they can reach me on that number.
Okay. Good. Any other comments? We are coming to the end. Oh, someone says we are at the then you eat the donut on Sunday.
Once it's green, you can just take it.
Yes, so the motivation is that you will eventually, that's a good one, you will then eventually eat the donut. So we might as well have a donut to eat. Work hard, eat the donut on Sunday.
So that you can be able to finish the mileage supposed to be there. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Kamaa. And I don't know if you have any remarks that or anyone else who has. We just have 1 more second and
maybe what I can say is
on the donut, on eating the donut. That should not be your motivation. You must work for.
You must work for that. You can take it. Maybe what I can say is we as recreational runners, let's accept. We want to run up to 70 or 90 years, 1 or 100 years.
Yes.
And for instance, we continue destroying our muscle twitch with the speed work, the speed work that we usually do. We'll not be able to attain that running career for those years. Let's learn let's train ourselves to run slow, to race fast. That's keep me going. And it will help, and also be consistent with your training, and also training as a group. Get a friend, go out with him, chapa stories when you are running, and with that way, also your heart rate will still go down because you are running at a pace that you go to control.
Yes. Good stuff. So I think we've had a lot from Kamaa. And Kamaa has given his insights there. So thank you again, Sana Kamaa, for taking up the 4th edition of Breaking Barriers. We took out to do an episode each quarter, and I'm glad that we have you on this one. So, and just to wrap up and to sum up, breaking barriers is an uphill battle, and it doesn't guarantee big wins or uber success, but this uphill battle is worth the effort because it will allow you to look for hope and optimism. Think about it as a challenge, the potential to be your best self, and the hope is that generations that come after us will look at us to develop their own motivation and sense of being. Do not operate with fear, rise to the occasion. So, and with that, we've come to the end of our episode, I want to remind all of us that we have the most electrifying sporting event in this country. And I say that without any fear of contradiction. We have 450 runners lining up on the 6th of May. We actually moved it because before I blinked, there were more than 70 registered teams. So we are at 75 times 6, that is 450 runners. It's going to be a whole day event. We've taken up the whole field. We are going to have vendors for food, drinks. We are actually putting out a flyer tomorrow. I think my team is here tomorrow or day after, inviting vendors to partner with us. And we've got some big time vendors coming in, hoping to get, to make sure that we have enough food, enough drinks, enough entertainment. We'll have the massive tent around there. So after the race, make sure you have the visa for the whole day, as Dagi puts it, because after the race, we will have an award ceremony and a lot more entertainment post-run. So hope to see you there. And thank you so much for supporting myself with the initiatives that we have, and all other people who come up with different initiatives. And hopefully together we shall grow and change the landscape. I always say we are the change we want to see, and we don't sit out there and complain without doing something. So whatever it is you can do in your little spaces, make sure that you do it. And again, without the support of the crowd, we cannot succeed. So you are part of our success. Thank you very much. Kamaa, we wish you well. May you continue to inspire, to grow people, and as you grow people, to grow yourself as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.